Hi, this is Dr. Ren Hartung at Glen Oaks Community College, and for this video I'm going to go freehand with my camera and show you the blood vessels that we have on our anatomical models and on some dissections. I'll look at this model first because I've got two of these in the lab. We'll start from up top. Up here in the neck we have the left jugular vein and the left common carotid. Coming off of the heart, here's the aorta, and that makes this the superior vena cava. I guess I'll go with the veins first here. Superior vena cava, left and right brachiocephalic veins, and then the brachiocephalic veins branch towards the arm and towards the neck. So this is again the left jugular, and this is the left subclavian vein. On the other side, again, here's the right brachiocephalic vein. Going up here would be the right jugular vein, and this is the right subclavian vein. Showed you where the aorta is coming off of the heart here. I'm going to take the heart away. The other part of the aorta that we see up here would be the aortic arch, and then coming down here through the chest would be the thoracic aorta. By the way, here on the top of the liver, we see part of the inferior vena cava. If I pull the liver off, on the back there, that blue vessel is inferior vena cava on this model. There's the other part of the inferior vena cava down here. This is the only part of the abdominal aorta that we can see on this model. There's other organs covering up the rest of the abdominal aorta. The abdominal aorta branches down here into the left and right iliac arteries, or left and right common iliac arteries. And notice that right next to the iliac arteries are iliac veins. So on this side, of course, we have the left common iliac artery and the left common iliac vein. On the right, we have the right common iliac artery and the right common iliac vein. Outside of the pelvic cavity here, when we get down into the legs, these become femoral. So this is the right femoral artery and the right femoral vein. On the other side of this particular model, they've got connective tissues up here. They've dissected, or trying to show dissection, it's more superficial. So we don't see the femoral artery and vein here. Rather, we see one of the branches from the femoral vein. This is great saphenous vein, so this would be left great saphenous vein. Apart from that, on this model, I skipped over the lungs over here. Remember that when we're talking about the lungs, it's the veins that are oxygenated and the artery that is deoxygenated. So this is the right pulmonary artery, and these are the right pulmonary veins. Over here, we've got some blue and some red arteries. Some blue arteries and red veins. You could say pulmonary veins. Sorry, the blue are pulmonary arteries. Even I get it mixed up. But the key is to remember when we're going from the heart to the lungs, these large vessels, the blue ones are the arteries, the red ones are the veins when we're in the lungs again. So that's pretty much it for this model. Let's go over to this model here. And again, I guess I'll start here from where we're coming off of the heart. Here's the aorta again. And in this model, they've shown the vessels coming out of the aortic arch. This one is the brachiocephalic trunk. The brachiocephalic trunk then branches into the right common carotid going up the neck and the right subclavian artery. And then the next branch coming off of the aortic arch is the left common carotid. And finally, the third branch they're showing kind of back here, that is the left subclavian artery. Let's go to the veins. Here's the superior vena cava. That therefore makes this the right brachiocephalic vein and left brachiocephalic vein. And then we have the right jugular vein and left jugular vein. And then the right subclavian vein and the left subclavian vein. I'm going to remove the heart to see if we can see vessels behind it, and we do see, just like on that last model, we see the thoracic aorta in here. And then as long as I've done that, let's keep going through. Here's the liver on this model, and again, here's the top part of the inferior vena cava. And if I take out this liver, you should also see again that blue vein coming through the liver there is the inferior vena cava. Here's the other part of the inferior vena cava here. I'm going to continue to take out organs. There goes the stomach. And here comes the intestinal package, including the pancreas. Nice. Now we see in the abdominal compartment pretty good on this model. So this is the abdominal aorta. And remember, it branches into the iliac arteries. So this would be the left common iliac artery and the right common iliac artery. And then we've got iliac vein. This would be left iliac vein and right iliac vein. And then also here, inferior vena cava. And this model also does a good job of showing the blood vessels going to the kidneys, so let's do those. This would be the left renal vein in blue there, and this would be the left renal artery. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the right renal artery and the right renal vein. And as long as I've showed you the renal arteries and veins on this model, let's quickly go over to this model. This is my large kidney model, and we can't tell whether this is right or left. They didn't tell us when they sent us the model, but this would then be a renal artery, and this would be renal vein. All right, moving on to the last torso model that I have. I'm going to grab, this thing's got a heart and vessel complex that we can put in here. So there's its heart. Here's the ascending aorta. There's the aortic arch. And this is the descending aorta, starting with thoracic aorta in the chest. And then also on this package, and I'm going to take this package and lay it down for easier viewing, I think. There's the superior vena cava, so that makes this the right and left brachiocephalic veins. This would then be the right jugular vein and the right subclavian vein. And for jugular vein, we've got that again up here in the model's neck. Here's the left jugular vein in this case, and here's the left common carotid. Let's keep going south here. Remember, we had thoracic aorta up here. You would have the diaphragm in this neighborhood. In fact, I'll just grab it. This is the diaphragm. It goes right in here. And below the diaphragm, of course, we're in the abdominal cavity, so this would be the abdominal aorta here. I'm going to remove the diaphragm and go back in here. So abdominal aorta. And then we can get down here to the kidneys again. This would be the left renal artery and left renal vein. And on the right-hand side, we've got the same two again, the right renal artery and right renal vein. This would be the inferior vena cava, the big blue one down here in the abdomen. And here we've got the left iliac artery and left iliac vein, right iliac artery or common iliac artery, and right iliac vein. And then again down in the legs, we've got femoral vein, femoral artery. These, of course, are on the left, so this is the left femoral artery and the left femoral vein. And then on the right, right femoral vein and right femoral artery. And let's get close here a little bit because we've also got great saphenous over here on this side. Notice that great saphenous coming off of the left femoral vein. So this is great saphenous vein. In fact, it's right great saphenous vein. Going back to this model, I didn't talk about down in the legs, but this model does a decent job of showing you femoral artery and femoral vein. And this one is also showing lymphatic structures, so it's trying to show superficial as well. Other models that I have these smaller torso models, and they've got all of the big blood vessels. If I just dump all the organs out of this one and look at it this way, we can see left common carotid, left jugular vein. If I bring the heart back into play, we could have the left brachiocephalic vein and right brachiocephalic vein, and here's left subclavian vein, and over here is right subclavian vein. The aorta, of course, is coming off the heart here, and we can see part of the thoracic aorta coming down the back of this heart on this model. Back in here, you get the top part of the thoracic aorta, and then down in here, of course, we're in the abdomen, so this would be abdominal aorta, and this would be inferior vena cava. We've also got left renal vein and left renal artery, and then down here at the bottom, where the aorta branches, of course, we've got the left common iliac artery, left iliac vein, right common iliac artery, and right iliac vein. And that's about it on this nifty little model. Let's move on to arms and legs. We talked about femoral artery and vein, but this is an actual, the model is built for doing muscles, of course, but it has vessels on it. So up here at the top of the leg, of course, we've got the red one being the femoral artery and the blue one being the femoral vein. And if you look down at the foot, you can tell that this is a left leg, so this would be the left femoral artery and left femoral vein. Go to the back of the knee here and look inside, and that's the popliteal region. So at this region, the artery would be the popliteal artery, and the vein would be the popliteal vein. Going down to the bottom, or towards the bottom of the leg, if I pull off this muscle, we can see the anterior tibial artery, so this would be the left anterior tibial artery. And then back here behind the tibia, we can see the posterior tibial artery. And those are all the ones I ask for in the legs. Up here in the arm, we've got brachial artery, and then down here in the wrist, we've got radial artery and ulnar artery on the other side here. So that'd be ulnar artery. And this hand is a left hand, so all of those we'd have to say left with, so this would be the left brachial artery, left radial artery, and left ulnar artery. And those are the muscle, arm, and leg that I use for vessels. There is another arm here in my lab, if I can get it off of the shelf here. And again, we basically have the same structures. This is a little bit different arm, in fact, but it's still a left arm, but same structures. This is left brachial artery coming down the inside of the arm, and then down here towards the hand and the wrist, we've got radial artery on this side and ulnar artery on the other side. Next model. These flattened models that show blood vessels, they can show a lot more, but my issue with them is they're really two-dimensional, although they do come out somewhat, so but they don't have the full 3 dimensions. Still, they're useful. So let's start up top in the neck. This would be jugular vein, and left jugular vein, and this would be left common carotid, right common carotid, right jugular vein. Here's the superior vena cava, and therefore this is the left brachiocephalic vein. This is supposed to be left brachiocephalic vein, but it's not very long. And here we've got the right subclavian vein. Sorry, right brachiocephalic vein, if I said that wrong. And then over here, coming off of the left brachiocephalic vein, we've got the left subclavian vein. This is left subclavian artery. In the arm, it turns into the left brachial artery. And then down here again towards the wrist, if you look closely, you can tell that this is the thumb, so this must be the radial side. So this is the radial artery, and this is the ulnar artery. It's cleaner on the other side, though. Here's the thumb. So this is the radial artery on the right radial artery, and left ulnar artery. And then up here in the upper arm, we've got brachial artery. Next to it, we've got brachial vein in this case, too. And then up here, we've got right subclavian artery and right subclavian vein. Going down to the abdomen, we've got the inferior vena cava. We've got the abdominal aorta, and we've got left renal vein, left renal artery, and on the right, right renal vein and right renal artery. Coming down here, we can see the iliacs, so this would be the left iliac artery and left iliac vein, right iliac iliac artery. And then going down into the legs, we've got, I guess you could say here, that would be femoral vein, and then here's femoral artery. And then in this one, on this side, we could probably call this the right femoral vein, sorry. This is another model built just by a different company, but it's very similar. Right jugular vein, right common carotid. Here's the superior vena cava. Therefore, this is the left brachiocephalic vein and right brachiocephalic vein. This is the beginning of the left subclavian vein. And over here is the right subclavian vein going down into the arm. And here's the right subclavian artery. Over here is the left subclavian artery. Coming down to the arm, we'd call it the brachial artery, so this would be left brachial artery. And then I'm going to skip over to the other side, right brachial artery, and then go down in here to the hand. And again, here's the thumb. Therefore, this is the right radial artery, and on the other side is the right ulnar artery. And that, I think, is pretty much all of the models that I have for vessels. Let's take a look at some dissections. These are dissected cats. And before they were dissected, they were stained so that the veins are blue and the arteries are red. So I'll start again from up in the neck. Well, yeah, on this one I'll start up in the neck. This would be a jugular vein. This is left jugular vein on this cat. And I got to get close, but can you see this small reddish looking vessel going up here? That's the carotid artery. This would be the left carotid artery, and here's the right carotid artery. There are two jugular veins on this side. This is an internal jugular and external jugular. For my students, if I just point to any of these blue ones in the neck, that's jugular vein. So in this case, it'd be like right jugular vein in this case. And then, as you recall, those branches come together to form the brachiocephalic trunk. So this would be the right brachiocephalic vein. So this would be the right brachiocephalic vein, and here's the left brachiocephalic vein. And then we also have subclavian veins. So this would be the left subclavian vein. And on this side, this would be the right subclavian vein. And the lungs are in the way here to see the superior vena cava, really, but I can kind of see it in here. There's the superior vena cava. And you can also see the aorta in there a bit. Going south into the abdomen, here the intestines have been splayed out nicely. And in this particular type of dissection, they actually stained these vessels yellow, and these vessels are part of the hepatic portal system. That's a venous system that carries blood from the gut up to the liver. The importance of it is when you absorb nutrients by the gut, and sometimes you absorb toxins from your gut, those nutrients and toxins go to the liver first for possible storage or detoxification before they get out into general circulation. So that's some physiology about the hepatic portal system, why we have it. Back down here in the abdomen, this is inferior vena cava, big blue vessel coming down here. And this is the abdominal aorta coming down. And in this particular cat, we're not low enough. There's other organs in the way in order to see the iliacs, but there might be another cat that has them. Let's go on to this next cat. Same again up here. And this cat's anatomy is about the same. The lungs are in the way for some of the stuff, but let's play. Can you remember what this vessel is? If you said this is the right brachiocephalic vein, you're correct. How about this one? The answer to that is the right subclavian vein. How about this thin red one here? That is the right carotid artery. And therefore this one, that's the right jugular vein. And then we got left jugular vein on this side, left subclavian vein, left brachiocephalic vein. There's the heart. And down in the abdomen, this one's really not opened so that we can see. In fact, this is the cat's uterus. that's in the way of the major vessels down here. Oh, but wait, look, that's cool. We actually do have an artery coming down here, and what that looks like is the left iliac artery, but I probably wouldn't use this on my students because you can't see it branching, and I like to have those indicators. Oh, I guess one thing I could say is you can see this artery, this artery coming out into the leg, so that would be the femoral artery. Let's go to this next cat. Here we are in the neck again, so what would this be? That would be the left common carotid. What would this blue one be? That would be left jugular vein. What would this blue one be? That's left subclavian vein, and if I asked for it out here, we would say brachial, because it's in the arm. How about this? That would be the right brachiocephalic vein, and then also we've got right subclavian vein and right jugular vein. Here we can nicely see the superior vena cava because the lungs are not in the way. In fact, this one got broken. That's the superior vena cava. And there's the heart, of course. Here's the aorta coming up. Actually, here's the aorta coming up. That makes this the brachiocephalic trunk. And then we see it branch into the right common carotid. And coming over here, actually, it looks like here is the right subclavian artery. Going down into the abdomen again, here's the abdominal aorta and the inferior vena cava. And here we've got a nice branch visible. So here again is the abdominal aorta, and then here is the left common iliac artery and the right common iliac artery. Down in the legs, this cat's got decent arteries in the legs and veins, so we've got femoral artery here and femoral vein, left femoral artery and left femoral vein. Last cat that I have to show you, up here in the neck again, what's this vessel? If you said left common carotid, you are correct, or left carotid artery, that's fine. What about this blue one? That's left jugular vein. What about this one? That's left subclavian vein. How about this? If you said left brachiocephalic vein, you're correct. This? Superior vena cava. And then just to go through them, you can see a little bit of the right common carotid there. And right next to it is right jugular vein. Here's right subclavian vein. Out here in the arm, we've got right brachial vein and right brachial artery. Small but visible. And then let's go into the abdomen again. What's this big blue vein? That again is inferior vena cava. And next to it, but a little bit hard to see, we can see the abdominal aorta. And then again, getting down into the legs, what would this be then? The answer there is the right, in this case, femoral artery and right femoral vein. And over here we have left femoral artery and left femoral vein. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. You'll notice in my lab I usually have multiple models. And the reason that I do that is I know if my students can recognize it on 3 or 4 different models that look differently, hopefully they'll be able to recognize it on a real human later if they have to. Once again, thanks for watching, and as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below.